Now, I was going to talk about Baltimore first, but we're going to talk about the Eagles first. Let's get
We
into it.
pride ourselves in everybody being ready to step up when the opportunity's called. And you look at the guys that come in and have an opportunity to play. Everybody has to be ready. One, everybody's prepared for so many missed opportunities and really um, so many mistakes as if you kind of giving it
Hey,
away.
if your name, my name is Keith. I do Black Quarterback Series, and today we're going to talk about how the Eagles are squandering a good opportunity. So, Jalen Hurts is 28 for 45, 281 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 terrible interceptions. One was a pop up, and the other two were really bad interceptions on Jalen's part. Really bad on Jalen's part. And to paint this picture for you, the Jets only scored one offensive touchdown, and that was the offensive touchdown that they let the Jets score so they can get the ball back. At 5:32 in the second quarter, it was 14-3. And if I told you the Eagles never scored again, you probably wouldn't believe me. So the Eagles never scored again. They never they never scored again. They might have gotten to the red zone a couple of times, but ultimately they didn't get didn't score again. The Jets kicked 4 field goals and 1 touchdown. If the Eagles would have scored 3 touchdowns, they most likely would have won. So you might be like, Keith, but the Jets defense is phenomenal. It is. They played lights out. They did just enough to win today. Just enough to win. But Jalen himself had 4 turnovers. You can say what you want about the one interception, but when you have 4 turnovers and you don't look sharp at all, that's a huge deal. Jalen, I was putting him in Lamar Jackson conversations last year, and I feel like I said I needed to see more and blah blah blah. Jalen is, I don't even want to say this, but he might be regressing. His offensive coordinator is in San Antonio, not San Antonio, Indianapolis. And you see how Anthony Richardson looked in Indianapolis until he got hurt. We'll talk about Anthony Richardson later. So it looks like he's still adjusting to having to kind of do this by himself. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when you have that great teacher and you're like excellent under her, but then when you move on grades, you don't get that personal relationship with your next teacher and you struggle to adapt to having to figure some stuff out yourself. That's kind of what it looks like for Jalen. And let's go back to Lamar Jalen conversations. I was putting them two in the same conversation. Lamar didn't look very good last year. Jalen was almost an MVP. But to see what Lamar is doing this year, with his percentages up in the 70s, and if it wasn't for drops, he would be probably top 5 in passing and touchdown passes. And then to see Jalen have significantly more talent and struggle in possibly maybe all 6 of these games. I don't remember there's one time this year where I looked at Jalen Hurts and I was like, wow, there goes Jalen. Maybe once, but not that I can, go right off my head about it. And that's a problem. That's a major problem. You paid him the money, and I know Jalen can do it. So he has to play better. Jalen has to play better. Now I'm gonna give that Jets defense major credit because that Jets defense is a terror. It's a terror. And they play really well. They're just saying offense don't mess up for us and we'll take you home. And that's what they be doing. And quick aside on Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is not coming back this season. And if Aaron Rodgers does come back this season, don't expect him to look really good. I know people saw him throwing and they lost and they fell all over themselves about him throwing, and I'm like, he's not coming back this season. If he does, he's not going to look like the Aaron Rodgers we know, and we have to take account that he's not getting any. And so yeah, I'm really concerned about Philly, but also as we turn the page and we go to the 49ers, the 49ers lost as well, so they didn't lose much ground. And the reason I'm talking about the 49ers is because of P.J. Walker. P.J. Walker was 18 for 34, 100 and, as I look at my notes, 192 yards, 2 interceptions. He did everything in his power to lose that game in that last half, in that last quarter of football. Now, granted, I'm going to be for real, I didn't watch this whole game. I watched just enough to have an opinion on it. But I did watch the whole fourth quarter, and it was just a dog. It was just a dog fight. Shout out to my guy Jason Tenth at the Volume. He talks about basketball, and he talks about NBA playoff games devolving into rock fights, and that's what this looked like. This was a rock fight. This was just an AFC North slobber knocker of a football game. Like, it started off with Debo talking crazy, and then Trent Williams having to come over there and save him, and Trent Williams ended up getting hurt, but he came back, and Christian McCaffrey ends up getting hurt. Hits was hard. Everything was hard. This was a very physical football game, right? And so Cleveland shows you why they should be talked about in more respects than they are. Now, granted, they got to get the quarterback situation solved, and I think Deshaun will be okay. Deshaun was looking really good before he got hurt, and we really don't know what the hell is going on with Deshaun. I just know it's a shoulder injury. So hopefully Deshaun can come back next week and be serviceable. But the fact that they beat the 49ers, and if you guys are not looking, I do a picks video every Thursday. So I'll leave that link in the description, or I'll leave that link up here if I remember. This 49ers team is really good, but then when you get injuries and this really, really good Cleveland defense, people don't talk about this Cleveland defense enough. This Cleveland defense is really good, and it's been really good. The offense just needs to catch up. So shout out to the Cleveland Browns. If you wasn't in my division, I'd definitely be root for you more. And so we're gonna go to London for another AFC North team. The Lamar Jacksons. I'm just playing. The Baltimore Ravens. So Lamar Jackson was 21 for 30, 223 yards, 13 carries, 62 rushing yards. And I'm sure I showed y'all that absolutely phenomenal play Lamar had it towards the middle or the end. I'm not sure what quarter it was. Well, he shook that lineman, it looked like a linebacker, out of his shoes and kept the drive going. It was just... Now, granted, you had to get up really early to watch this game because they was in London and it played at 9:30 in the morning, right? And so I got up and watched it, got a chance to eat breakfast. I was able to watch a Lamar game from start to finish. And the man was accurate. When I talk about accurate, the man was absolutely accurate, and I loved what I saw. Shout out to the receivers for coming through and making catches. Shout out to Odell for showing flashes of Odell. Let's see, what else did I write down? It was almost a perfect game. I think that the Ravens kind of suffer from that same thing that the 49ers and sometimes the Eagles suffer from, is that we think we're more talented than everybody. So we're just going to out-talent you. And then when we get in a predicament, we're like, oh, God, now we got to turn it back up, and sometimes it's too late. Like the one of the kids said, maybe I think a couple weeks ago, he was like, they just want Lamar to save them, and sometimes he's not able to do it, and then we blame Lamar for it. So, but when I say Lamar played really good football yesterday, because I'm recording this on Monday, Lamar played probably one of the cleanest games I've ever seen. Like, I know he had the interception, but outside of the interception, this game was so clean. The defense played well. They had some lapses there, and they got close, but they was able to get it back together. They played really, really well. I was thoroughly impressed with what I saw. He missed a couple throws, but that's par for the course. You're 21 for 30, 223 yards. You're gonna miss some throws, and he played well. And so Ryan Tannehill ended up getting hurt, and so Malik Willis came in the game, and that's when I stopped watching, because Malik Willis, I want to be a supporter of Malik Willis, but I have not seen a progression from year 1 to year 2. I have not seen no progression from what I've seen, from what I saw yesterday. Now, I know I said I stopped watching it, but I stopped watching it as intensely, so excuse me if I'm speaking out of context. But from what I saw, Malik Willis just did not have anything yesterday. I didn't write his stats down because there was nothing to speak home about. But, man, like, I I I I, I don't want to believe that he's this bad. Um, they got to him at least 4 times. Those are the ones I recorded, and it just looks like he's playing a foot. He's thinking too much. He's not playing a brand of football that he knows how to play. And so, but I always thought that when he did get drafted there, that he wasn't going to be very good there because Mike Vrabel doesn't like what he does as a player. I think if you put Malik Willis with a Shanahan, I think he looks a lot different. I think he's a lot different because he knows how to use his strengths and weaknesses. I don't think, and I also say, if you put Greg Roman, if you give Greg Roman Malik Willis, I think he looks better. So it just depends on the coaching. That's why Ryan Tannehill was in there because Ryan Tannehill can run Mike Vrabel's offense and not give him too much lip about it. And I think his name is Will Greer. I didn't see him at all, the rookie. I don't know what happened to him. But yeah, so shout out to Baltimore. You got it done and you got out of there. So we're going to talk about the rookies and then we're going to talk about some other games and then we're going to get out of here. So we're going to talk about the Panthers. And so the Panthers scored 14 points and then didn't do nothing else after. The Panthers offense scored 14 points and then it was a crazy pick six by, I think it's Sky Moore. That didn't really too much count that. So the Panthers offense scored 14 points. Bryce Young was 23 for 38, 217 yards, a touchdown. Now, Miami's defense is not the best, but this gives you confidence going into the next game. I know they're on 6, and you're like, Keith, why are we talking about them? We have to see trends in the right direction. And I think we're seeing trends in the right direction with Bryce Young. Now, I know I'm going to have my guy who's a Panthers fan watch this and comment. So let me know how you guys see it. Because from what I see it looks like Bryce Young is kind of understanding it now. But he just has no talent there other than Thielen. And I think Thielen is not young, but he's not old either. So Thielen might be able to take him for the next couple of years until the game slows down. I believe in Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young is going to be okay. And if he could tap into that Drew Brees type of thing, I think he's going to be elite. But when you playing the greatest show on turf too, there's not much you can do. Them boys down in Miami are something special. I've never seen, I remember I'm only 28. I've never seen an offense so spectacular. It's like so spectacular. Like, yes, the Chiefs were spectacular as well, but the Chiefs were nowhere near this great, So shout out to them boys down in Miami, and I still believe in Bryce Young. And you guys don't have your first round pick, so you guys need to win games. And so we're gonna move on to C.J. Stroud. Now, C.J. Stroud is the Rookie of the Year and he's the Offensive Rookie of the Year. No doubt about it, right? He was 13 for 27, 199 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. This guy has no wasted motions, and they ended up winning 20-13 against New Orleans. This guy has no wasted motions. He plays like a vet. You would not think he was a rookie. He plays like Dak Prescott did his rookie year. No wasted motions with superior less talent because there's no talent down there for real. The talent down there is CJ, D'Amico Ryan, his receiver, and Will Anderson Jr. So they're not like uber talented. They're just winning games, and I love it. The way they're taking care of CJ is the way that every young quarterback wants to be taken care of. Also, CJ's playing well. So there's not even really much to say other than he's playing really well and he's learning. He threw his first interception of his career. It looked like more of a miscommunication, but it was still a bad pass. But yeah, shout out to CJ. And so I said I was going to get back to Anthony Richardson. So Richardson is considering having season-ending surgery, I think on his shoulder. I don't think he should do that. I don't think he should come back, but I don't think he should have the surgery unless he absolutely, positively has to have the surgery. You don't want to go under the knife unless you absolutely have to. And if he doesn't have to, I definitely wouldn't. But if there's any updates from this Monday to the time I post this, you guys will see it on the screen for sure. And so some games that I didn't really watch like I needed to because I was watching other games or I didn't get the cover. So Geno, 27-41, 323 yards and 2 interceptions. Didn't look very good. It looks like, unfortunately, for us Ravens and Cleveland Brown fans, that they're starting to figure it out in Cincinnati. I'm not happy about that as a fan of the other two teams, but Geno, I don't know what Geno was looking at yesterday. It wasn't his best day out. Tyrod Taylor, 24 for 36, 20 yards, 200 passing yards. They almost upset the Bills. Now people can be like, why didn't they make that call at the end? I'm of the mindset of let the guys decide the game. And I'm glad the rest were of the mindset of let the guys decide the game as well. Now you'd be like, if you're gonna call it in the first, call it in the fourth. I don't agree with that. Let them play. Let the players on the field decide the game, and you move on from there. And so yeah, shout out to Tyrod Taylor for being serviceable and almost upsetting them. They're going to be in the market for a quarterback because Danny Dimes definitely is not the answer there as well. So Deion Sanders losing a 29-point lead. It's the typical. If you've ever been in the locker room and you've had a lead, you know how this goes. You up like 30, and you're like, all right, well, we're just gonna go through the motions in the second half, and we're gonna win this. We're gonna win this by 35. And then you look up and you're in the dogfight again, and you can't really muster up the energy, right? And I think that's what happened. Deion Sanders has their attention now. You guys can be beat. I can do the show off, like my mom used to say to me when I didn't want to do my homework. I graduated already. You didn't. You know, Deion Sanders is a Hall of Famer. He's rich. He has the kids. Deion Sanders has the perfect life. You kids need to realize that this ain't no game to be played with. Y'all trying to get there. So I think this was a wake-up call to everybody in that locker room. And they'll be better off for it. But just like Deion said in a press conference a couple weeks ago, this is as bad as they'll ever be. They're going to get the number one recruit in almost every position, and they'll be fine next year. Caleb Williams losing. Now, I didn't watch the game. I did not watch the game, but just from my not bias, but just from my uninformed perspective, I think his Heisman Trophy candidacy is over, and he possibly will be a Chicago Bear next year, possibly with Marvin Harrison Jr. So that's my prediction for Caleb Williams. The guy, I think he plays for Washington State. Shout out to him. I think that they beat Oregon. And we're gonna have some elite guys coming in the league in the next 2-3 years, and it looks like I'm gonna be covering all of them. So that's all I got. A little bit of a longer video, a little bit of a longer end video. I had those some football things that I saw in the world of sports that I just wanted to tell you guys, as they're always cutting the grass when I record. But and so I'll see you guys Thursday for my Week 7 predictions. Peace.